All right, welcome to the Lockdown Podcast. We're here to cover more Raw, more SmackDown, more SummerSlam comings and goings, little bit of everything in between. So we've got a continued what I like to call repetition on what it seems to be like on both shows. Whether it's Judgment Day stuff or Bloodline stuff, I feel like we're getting kind of a copy and paste, we'll call it. Um, Now, given the fact that essentially we know we're going to get, you know, hopefully, you know, we get a new or some returns at SummerSlam, that being Roman Reigns. There probably will be some other returns. I don't know how much impact they'll have, but we'll just work our way through Raw here. Mommy's back. I think that's enough said. I think, I'll let you fill in the blank because honestly, if you haven't watched, what went on Raw literally throughout the whole show, basically Dominic trying to apologize and defend her honor and all this hoopla. And I thought it was a good show. I thought it was funny. I thought just the amount of times, he said something he wasn't supposed to say. So like what is your guys' take? I mean, obviously we know Mommy's facing Liv Morgan at SummerSlam. Like, do you think we're gonna get we're gonna get Rhea Ripley as it was, or do you think there's something else working in the foreground in regards to her return?
Well, outside of her not readily being cleared to get in the ring, according to online reports, I think Rhea knocks out Liv, gets her championship back, probably dumps Don, and calls Jey Uso. I mean, that's the logical thing that they should be doing.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think yeah.
put those two together,
Well,
and then when yeah,
Jay and Uso, Jay and Rhea.
yeah,
Would it change her music to "This is my yeetality"?
yeet tality.
Yeetality, baby.
Oh,
What a great theme song, right? Entrance music. But yeah,
oh my
so being that Tyler Bate is injured, you've basically rekindled this thing with Sheamus and Pete Dunne, former members, and uh, you know, so do you think there's much to the story other than just filler in regards to Sheamus and Pete Dunne? I mean, I guess more Pete Dunne basically being pissed off, and I mean he's always pissed off. I don't think I've ever seen him smile. So, like, do you think there's really anything to it, or do you honestly just think it's filler?
I think, me personally, I think it's a filler. Just the way it's going, the way it starts out, all this crap. I think it's just a filler, just for they can come up with different ideas for different storylines at the moment. Just to get something, they're just you doing this just to get some product out there to get the fans
Right.
somewhat interested.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I really think Pete Dunne in of his entirety, I feel like is kind of very underappreciated for being, because okay, yeah, you have the big guys that that can do all the big moves and stuff, but then like people pay no mind to this, like to these, these guys that are under 6 foot will say, that can still hang with the best of them, and Pete Dunne is definitely one of those.
He definitely
Um,
can. He can definitely go for a singles title.
yeah,
He can hold a title pretty good. Look, he's hold the United Kingdom NXT Championship.
yeah.
He's held it for a
So
while.
yeah, it was. I think it was close to a year, I believe. But
I think so too.
so we continue obviously with this back and forth between Damian Priest and Gunther. Obviously Gunther basically won his shot to face whoever the champion is at SummerSlam. Now, I know we talked about this last week and kind of feel like it's not quite Gunther's time, but I think honestly just the fact that Gunther has rarely lost. I think the loss, if he loses, I feel like it does two things. It solidifies Damian Priest, and it also acknowledges that Gunther is defeatable. So I think that's definitely one of those. We're just gonna see how it plays out. Because we could talk back and forth about the rumors or the theories or whatever. But we do want to get through a podcast without having to like speed round everything else. So basically, after that whole thing, Damien basically fixes the Strowman problem. And he's Damien's been bugging the rest of the group, Judgment Day. Hey, handle the Braun Strowman problem. Handle. No one did it. So Damien takes it under his own and beats Braun Strowman. Now Braun Strowman's injured, some kind of knee issue. He was evaluated after that, show. Really hasn't been much released. I guess we'll kind of find out Monday. What becomes of that, if it's a serious injury, if it's just minor, who knows? But when you're one big SOB, your bones don't work properly.
I like his T-shirt.
Dude,
I don't have to wait. Pat
Pat
announces them.
McAfee started that, dude.
Oh, I
and
know.
then it just became a shirt. Like, and dude, you know what? Sidebar.
Way
I love
Pat says
McAfee.
it.
I love Pat
He's
McAfee.
one big son of a bitch.
And the thing is he's trailed when he said bitch, but he's like one son of a bitch, and then he just let it fly. And now he has Michael Cole yeeting, which I absolutely love. I think honestly, for Michael Cole to kind of break his very, very professionalness and just kind of, he's been doing this for 25 years. I mean, I feel like it's very it's hilarious. It's just fun. I'm glad that Michael Cole loves what he does, and now he's got his foam yeet hand. I mean, and him and Pat are just going at. I do that. I love that stuff, dude.
Let's say, yeah, he's a really cool dude. He's really down to earth. I got a picture with him.
Yeah, what are you, like 5 inches taller than him?
Pretty much.
He like shoulder. I'm like, here you go, little buddy.
He was short when I first met freaking the first time I ever met freaking Big Show. I stand next to him. I was probably my top of my head was like touching his damn chin.
He's like, yes, boy, be my chin rest.
It's like, look at you seen the picture of me and
yeah, you and Drew. Yeah, dude, he's like 6'5", I think, something like that.
Let me see if I can find the picture.
Yeah, he's. So speaking of, yeah,
that's how tall I am to him.
Oh,
yeah,
goodness.
he, and it's like he's still one big SOB though, dude. So speaking of Tim's favorite wrestler, Drew McIntyre. So he's not apologizing because and I'm with Frederick on this, dude. Like, I'm sorry, dude. If I was Drew, I wouldn't apologize either. These refs have botched so many calls. Like, I get it. This is all just part of the story and all this stuff, but it's just like, I feel like Drew plays a pissed off person almost too well and like almost too believable.
Yeah.
But like, so he's still suspended, and obviously we're gonna get that CM Punk Drew McIntyre match at SummerSlam, and I will listen to you guys go back and forth after that match because that's all you guys. I'm just gonna sit here and take it in. So we get another freaking little vignette, little tape, a VHS for those who don't know what that is. Um, and so we get this interview with Eric Rowan, obviously another kind of heartfelt, you know, uh, him talking about obviously Bray Wyatt, everything else, and all the emotions, and obviously Luke Harper was basically kind of tossed in there too. I mean, in all reality, kayfabe or not, like honestly, when you have a group of friends like that and you've literally you lost Brody Lee the one, and then Bray Wyatt not long after, dude. Like
That
that cuts, dude. Like there's no, and
they,
that's he didn't
they're-
die
they
and
were
he didn't die
they
for
were
fake. He died and they
brothers.
died. Like it's and you when you spend in the business with these people for so long, you essentially wrestlers are that's all just one giant family because they're on the road. You know their families, their kids, stuff like that. And so, I mean, a very relevant, very you know honest little interview thing they had with him. But so rolling through Raw here. So Dominic decides to take his 70s porn star mustache self and defend Rhea's honor, and he couldn't defend honor if it was, yeah. So obviously Jay destroys him, and what I would like to say is probably the best backstage segment from Jay Uso in a long time. When he goes up to Damien later in the show and he's like, "Is it true? Is it true? Mommy's single?"
Mommy's single?
Looks at Dominic and says, "Well, maybe." Like we talked about this earlier when we were bowling, but like, dude, I honestly love that Damian Priest can walk that line between like being a heel but also being funny as a face, and like it's oh my gosh, dude. I absolutely loved Raw in the sense of it was just basically like a Dom trying to get Rhea back the whole show.
To be honest with you, I'm starting to feel like Damian Priest is not a heel. The way he's been acting lately, look at Gunter. Gunter's a heel.
Well,
And
I think
the way they're talking with each other, it just seems like he's slowly pushing his way into becoming a baby face, a good guy, because the fans are starting to like him more than anybody in the group.
right, and I think he's made it very, very, you know, obvious that he's has a lot of issues with the Judgment Day, not taking care of things. But on the flip side, you have the wild card that is Liv Morgan that has basically helped them, out quite a bit. They brought more gold back to the group, and so like it's really, really there's so much depth to the Liv Morgan Rhea Ripley thing right now, like because on one hand, okay, maybe Rhea just leaves and does whatever, goes with Jey Uso, and they do this thing for 3 to 6 months or something. What does Dom do? I feel like Dom without Judgment Day is like Akira Tozawa. So I just it's
That's true.
certain people need other people to stay relevant, and that honestly is how I genuinely feel about Dominic because when he, was with his dad, that was with his dad. And then when he turned on his dad to join Edge in the Judgment Day, like now he has Judgment Day. So like I don't I honestly think it's going to be interesting. Let's call it 6 months to a year, maybe a year and a half where Dominic starts going solo. Like what is that going to look like? Because he's been surrounded by people for pretty much his whole WWE career. So, what does that look like? I don't know. I don't think anyone knows. I think that's down the pipeline. But so Raw ends. So you have, or sorry, I'm sorry, the second to last, you basically had Bo Dallas get called out by Chad Gable, and we got introduced to just Bo Dallas, that weird smile at the end of Raw the week prior, and now you know Chad Gable thinks he's some kind of genius, knowing that Uncle Howdy is Bo Dallas. But we all knew Bray Wyatt was the Fiend, but they were two separate entities. And I think that's the angle they're playing right at this very moment. Is that yes, Bo Dallas is Bo Dallas, but like the lucrative side and the voices in his head are Uncle Howdy. I mean, we're getting essentially the same rendering. You have Bo Dallas, that's just Bo Dallas. But then you have the Uncle Howdy side of it. It's no different than literally the Fiend and Bray Wyatt. So, the end of that whole bit, I mean, it's a little weird. I think they've now that they finally came out to the ring actually, um, I I really wonder, and I say this all the time, is that what now? So they've presented themselves, they've come out to the ring, they're doing all these little bits, these almost like promos with no matches, no anything, just good talking or good theatrics. And that's all it is at this point, unfortunately. And like, I don't want the Wyatt Six to go stale because of poor creative booking.
Yeah, that's definitely
So
something that we should be concerned about. Anyone that's a fan of Wyatt Six and Bray Wyatt's legacy and his storytelling, um, without that that presence, or without Bray Wyatt actually being able to make audibles or read the crowds and make audibles, you've kind of gonna go lean really heavily on what the intentions were with his Wyatt Six and what creative for that night, for that episode, has in store, what long-term booking looks like. Um, I don't think anyone will ever really get to see what Bray Wyatt truly wanted, because obviously Bray Wyatt is no longer with us. So we've kind of got to take it as this is the best case scenario that we
right.
get with the Wyatt Six. And so far, from what I've seen, that this will definitely be very theatrical and very dramatic and very uh, it's it's going to have a long payoff. It's not going to be overnight, so I think
It's gonna play
changing
out
the
like
audiences.
it's gonna play out basically like all the little QR
Yeah.
code thing basically, and then all of a sudden it's gonna happen and shit's gonna hit the fan and it's gonna be insane and we're all gonna freaking jump for joy, or like we're all
Yeah,
gonna
but
say holy shit,
I
and
think
it's gonna
it's
happen. It's
gonna
just
it's gonna take a while, and I think it's gonna be like a slow burn. Um, and obviously, I think once the fans of Wyatt Six and Bray Wyatt get to the meat of the story, the journey would have been more exciting and more interesting than the payoff. So I'm
right.
hoping that it doesn't turn off people from professional wrestling because it's too dramatic, too theatrical, but actually keeps people engaged on a different level, in a different layer. So yeah, that's my take on
So
that.
so basically Raw ends with, Sammy basically giving Ilya Dragunov a shot at the IC. Go figure, Braun Breaker gets involved, DQ, blah blah blah.
I had a feeling he was going to get involved.
Oh, I like I it just makes sense that they would have, you know, a triple threat for the title. I mean, it
It's
looks like
probably
it's
that's
I haven't
looks like
like
that looks like it's going to happen. I think so.
it is, and it shows confirmed. I just really haven't seen much like from Adam Pearce saying, "Hey, this is official," or anything else. But by the looks of it online, it is official. So you're gonna have Sammy versus Braun Breaker and Ilya Dragunov at SummerSlam, which I'm all for, dude, because they have all three of them have way different styles. You have Braun Breaker that's just brute force. You have Ilya Dragunov that is very, very technical, and Sammy is just kind of a hybrid. So it's gonna be an interesting triple threat. I really want to see how the next. We essentially have 2 weeks before SummerSlam. So I mean, let's let things play out. Let's see what really happens if maybe Ilya gets hurt and it goes back to a one-on-one. Who knows? Not making any funny calls until probably next week. We'll kind of do a more of a match prediction for SummerSlam episode, and it will be kicking off season 2 for all of you who are watching. Which you know, it's been a ride. This is our 26th episode, and I chalk it up, man. And like me and Tim been doing this wrestling thing. We did some podcast stuff off and on for the last couple years. Adding Frederick was honestly, that missing piece. And I think this is his 12th or 13th episode, which, you know, I think anybody who wants to do a podcast, you have to have a group of people that you gel with and that you can disagree with and be okay with. Because obviously we have Team CM Punk and Team Drew McIntyre. And, if you guys can have, yeah, shut your shirt. If, but no, I think it's cool. I think it's awesome. I have definitely enjoyed doing this. We will, kick off season 2 next week. So let's dive into SmackDown, which SmackDown seems to be like a carbon copy. So, Bianca Belair obviously beats freaking, like a 30-second match. You have Cody basically coming out and boxing star Terrence Crawford helps Cody beat up Aton Dunner with a chair. Then it builds into a match, and obviously we know how the ending match, but we'll get to that in a hot second. So I am on board with Carmelo Hayes, and I really kind of don't like that they're really basically jobbing him out essentially because he's great on the mic. He's got great wrestling skills. He's got, very good, talent. And it just seems to be they're just kind of downplaying him. I mean, I know he wasn't going to win Money in the Bank, but, they seem to be giving him L's. And I kind of don't like it. But because, I mean, essentially Andrade, I mean, honestly, Andrade seems like he's just kind of here. And I really don't feel they haven't really pushed much plans for him beyond I think he's the speed champion, which that's no one cares. And they're not even allowed to talk about it on the regular programming, which seems kind of weird. But yeah, so honestly Andrade beats Carmelo Hayes. Good match though. Honestly, like, sometimes it's not a matter of, who wins, who loses. It's just, you know what? It is good entertainment. It is great matches, and that's all it is. I mean, you all know that things are scripted and everything else. Obviously, everything in between isn't. So it's, that's all improv for you haters of wrestling and haters of fake. I'm like, everything is fake in this world. Don't even get me started. So, so so now we finally get, Logan Paul's stupid face to come out, and talk about being the longest reigning U.S. title with 2 defenses. Good God, even Roman had more defenses in 250 days. Logan Paul is a joke to the business. He's a gimmick. I hope LA Knight double time BFTs his face. I'm just over it, dude. You're not dominant. You're not a great champion. You're basically the social media champion right now. That's all you are. You've brought nothing and the thing that sucks is that like I've said before, he has figured out the business and he puts on great matches, but the problem is he's holding gold and not having matches. And that's what bothers me. You can't talk about a reign and not have it being defended. I mean, I don't care how much you put up Roman Reigns numbers to the greats. They were wrestling championship matches every 5 to 6 days. He was wrestling them every 3 to 4 months. So, and that's the thing is I'm not downplaying Roman Reigns' accomplishments. Even though he's had outside interference 90% of the time. But like, I digress. Logan Paul doesn't even defend it. He barely even shows up. Like, motherfucker, you are on a contract. So show your ass up to work. Why does he get to be the stupid, worthless, not even part-time, more like part-time?
He shows up more to his brother's fights than showing up to WWE.
It's stupid. You're
So,
under a WWE contract, and it's probably written in his
so
contract.
it's probably in his contract. 1, 2, it makes people not like him, and that builds and adds to his character. It's another layer. I would not be surprised if there are some heels or bad guys that want to have more matches, but because of the audience's reactions, they downplay that, or they don't book them for those in-ring performances because they know that it will get under the fans' skin, and they know that when they finally do make a change in championship, um, it will make the payoff that much better. So as much as we want to just harp on him not defending a championship,
Oh, I'll harp
part
him
of
all
it is part of it is story,
him
part
with a
of it
harp.
might be contract, but it does build interest for his character and in the matches that he has. Now, if he wins this match, I mean, you know,
Oh God, you thought Ethan Page was all ego.
oh goodness, yes, all ego. Yep, and I don't know. I have no idea how this is going to go
I
for LA Knight,
go.
but it could be fun and it could have a really good payoff for LA Knight. I mean, he's been hot since he showed up. So yeah, I would like for him to get that acknowledgement by having a championship and getting a decent run, being able to perform and defend it and represent the company. But we just got to see, especially Logan Paul and his business dealings with the WWE and TKO. That's just a different type of uniqueness when it comes to probably his working agreements. So I wouldn't be surprised if Logan retains at SummerSlam.
I think he will because it is in his
You guys
hometown.
can keep your mouth shut. LA Knight is winning. Yeah. I'm sorry because this has been a culmination. You can't have this much build. And guess what? They're in Cleveland, but like I really I want him to lose in front of his family, his friends, and his city. Be a big ass disappointment.
I mean that sometimes
kid,
is how it gets
I
booked. I
just think
mean,
LA Knight
especially
would
with the
be a
Miz.
fantastic champion. He would
yeah,
be
look at Hart,
defending
Shawn
champion.
Hitman.
Yeah.
He got
Yeah.
screwed over in his hometown.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been screwing Drew. Why can't we screw Logan?
Oh.
Yeah,
I mean,
that is true.
if we seem to be in the screw you era, so I mean,
I could
seriously.
totally 100% see that one.
I
Yeah.
mean,
It's the way
seriously.
every
I mean,
match
like
is going.
Drew's
Yeah.
getting screwed. All these, this would just be another layer to the screw jobs, man. I mean, shoot, even Trick Williams essentially got screwed in NXT, to his own doing. But like, they talk a big game till they lose. So I
Mhm.
feel like this is definitely the, fuck around and find out kind of situation because LA Knight is a dog. He's my dog. You guys can take your Logan Paul crap to the grave because, anywho, I digress. Didn't go full blown rant. For those of you who love my rants,
He was about to.
poquito for those in Spanish. But so So now we have Meechin versus Tiffany Stratton. Gal, what a freaking mess this is. But I got to give it up to BBL Bailey. So, so, so there's been this weird connection with Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax, which I don't know. That is one of those those weird people that some to become friendly on TV, and all of a sudden they're just buddies and pals, even though Tiffany Stratton's holding the thing that would screw Nia Jax over completely. Um, and hey, thanks Bailey for breaking the freaking Money in the Bank. At least there was a contract in there this time. Wasn't it the Miz that it popped open and there's nothing in it?
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, now we basically are gonna have a Meechin and Bailey versus Stratton and Nia Jax. I would assume, would be on Friday. Which okay, cool, makes sense. But I feel like Nia Jax is just using Tiffany Stratton until she's no longer useful.
That's what
But
I
Tiff,
think.
but honestly, it's only a matter of time before people understand and respect Tiffy Time, because she's gonna be a champion. Yep. Yep, you heard it here. You heard it from the
Almost
mouth of me.
almost all of
So,
them will be a champion, but it's usually the workhorses that aren't.
the women's Money in the Bank is pretty much perfect at this point. So, you know what? Then again, we just talked about being screwed over. So,
Yeah.
maybe, maybe Tiffy Time is down the road. So, but she has a year, so she could really hold. They could really hold that thing out, for the next 8 months. Damien took forever. Why can't we just have her continue to linger? Till
True.
maybe down the road there's a storyline that's fitting for her to cash in, and she does cash in. It's just not like probably just won't be a now cash in. If it cashes in now, there's no story for it. So,
Mhm.
you know, down the pipeline it might exist. Who knows? Anything can happen, at any given time. Seth Rollins did it at WrestleMania. Damien did it at Did Damien do it at WrestleMania? Or did he do
Yes.
that?
Yeah.
At
So, you've had cash-ins the same night. You've had cash-ins that take forever. So, in the world of WWE, we do not know shit, okay? We can pontificate, we can guess, we can want what we want, but at the end of the day, we're going to get served what's there. We're in the prison of WWE. We take what we get. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with them knowing what we want, even though we don't think we want it now, and we get it, and we're like, all right, let's go. Especially like CM Punk coming back. Did we all really want that to happen? Not really, kind of, sort of, but it happened. And it's just like the crowd erupts. Cody Rhodes coming back. We all knew it was going to happen, but it could have happened whenever it wanted to. But when it happened, it was fire. So we're gonna get a return at SummerSlam, hand over fist. I would put most of my chips on Roman Reigns, maybe Brock Lesnar. I would put money on Roman, but who knows? I would love to see Brock F5 every part of the bloodline. That would just, because you know what, dude? You just messed with the guy that's literally been his advocate for pretty much 2 decades. So like, it's hitting them both. Roman and Brock have an equal grievance with the current bloodline. Who comes and takes care of business, we'll find out in the next, couple weeks. So now that we've basically rammed through Raw and SmackDown, obviously, like we said, SummerSlam is basically in the books. Since we pretty much, again, SummerSlam's in the books. So let's go down some pipe dreams. So what do you think is gonna, like, what do you think John Cena will have an impact in the next, we'll call it 3 PLEs. I mean, I think we got SummerSlam followed by Bash in Berlin. From what I did see, there was a additional pay-per-view that wasn't completely confirmed, which I think was because we have no man. See, you guys need to talk so I can look.
I'm
It
gonna
says
say I
that
think John's,
they said there's a WWE Bad Blood, but I don't know if that's
I
it's
don't
on the
think that's
schedule according to this bling, but I don't know if it's on
I
the
think
up and
some
up, and then you have Crown Jewel, and then you're basically the end of the year.
I think the Bad Blood one
Sorry,
is
go ahead.
supposed to be right after the next after SummerSlam. I think that's I don't know if that's the
It's not till
NXT.
October. We're
Oh,
going vacant because we have SummerSlam and Bash in Berlin essentially both in August. So September is basically a vacant of anything. You have Bad Blood on October 5th, and then you have Crown Jewel November 2nd.
Hmm.
I
And
think
then we're essentially waiting till now. I don't know if they are having any because they can't do day one because it's not going to be day one. It'll be like the second or third.
I think day one would be January 1st or whatever, sometime in
Yeah.
January.
So let's see. Yeah,
'Cause
and if
that's
you
when they
have
usually
I
have that
think
one.
it's kind of cool. Yeah, I think it's cool that NXT is basically kind of swallowing up all of the old pay-per-view names. They have the Great American Bash, they have No Mercy, Halloween Havoc. I think it's kind of cool.
They need to bring some of those type of pay-per-views to the main roster.
Well,
So
they did with War Games, kind of, but
yeah. So it looks
Yeah.
like Crown Jewel, and it says Survivor Series. It's not confirmed. It just says November 30, 2024, expected in parentheses. So really don't, and then you have obviously Royal Rumble. And we have a massive gap. If this is true, we have a 2-month gap of Lord knows what they can fill it with, because you have Survivor Series November 30th. And the Royal Rumble is not till February 1st. Dude,
I thought that's usually in January.
Royal
it
Rumble.
is, but I don't know
Royal
how
Rumble's
they.
usually in January. It's usually
Yeah,
the
it's
first month of
February
the year.
1st.
Well, they've
Yeah,
got
it
something
says
going on in
February
January. Then.
1st. Yeah,
Or maybe they
so
couldn't fit it in until February 1st because there's just so
Probably.
much going on. I mean, you've got college football playoffs and things like that happen in January. Do you really want to compete with that sort of thing? So maybe they did bump it from January to February. Then you got Royal Rumble. Then you have Elimination Chamber.
It doesn't
so
say
it doesn't. I don't
to
see
say the
anything in
Royal Rumble
regard
is
to
supposed to be in the
Elimination
same town
Chamber.
as
Well, but they also have WrestleMania pushed deep too. WrestleMania is pushed to
19th and
April
20th.
19th and the 19th and the 20th.
Yeah, for my
So
birthday.
WrestleMania is usually the first weekend in April, but
I think
we're
I
almost.
think the main reason why they pushed it because when they were last year for WrestleMania it was fucking cold as shit. They probably pushed it back for it could be a little bit warmer. But
Well,
hey,
I mean,
I'm
it's in
glad. I'm
Vegas.
glad they did. It's a day after my
Well, it's
birthday.
in Vegas, so it doesn't. It's gonna be hot. It's in Vegas, but yeah, it looks like let's see. It looks like Elimination Chamber is February 24th. Or no, that's last year. So yeah, I don't know. It's it's one of those, they'll fill in the gaps eventually, I guess. But yeah, so not. I mean, honestly, there's not a whole lot to unpack that we haven't already unpacked last week. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going too deep into this episode, honestly. And it is what it is. I mean, when we have so much stagnant time right now, we have 2 weeks to SummerSlam and we're already booked. So like, there's not much. I mean, I hate to say it, our episodes probably won't be that long, honestly. For the probably season one. I mean, season one. I mean, we're it's gonna be more of a prediction show, in regards to SmackDown or to SummerSlam. And kind of a moving forward. The following week will obviously be covering SummerSlam. So I mean, Raw and SmackDown are going to be kind of minuscule at this point. Just because again, we're getting these repetitive episodes as it seems of Raw and SmackDown. But, I'm definitely the one thing I'm looking forward to honestly is that big return at SummerSlam. And it's going to be with like 10 minutes left in the show. That's just my prediction, I think. And then we're gonna have to wait to the following SmackDown to see basically the outlay or basically the aftermath of SummerSlam, which again, I think honestly though it's gonna be huge. I really think that SummerSlam and basically Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, and SummerSlam are basically the only ones we really care about at this point. The big three they call them. So if something's gonna happen, something's gonna happen. But we'll just honestly put a pin in this. Honestly, I don't want to drag the episode honestly, but we'll see you guys next week. We'll kind of continue to keep you up to date on any kind of rumors that will come up. Obviously, thank you to YouTubers that do all the work for us. Because
Thank you guys.
yeah, seriously.
Believe.
Like you guys clearly have way too much time on your hands or disposable income to like just have all this information. Then again, you probably have an office. Probably got like a bunch of peons getting all this information for you, and they just put it on paper for you.
Yeah, they just got people they know in high and low places. Just
They
to do the
got
work
a
for
bunch of
'em.
Oompa Loompas working. But but yeah, so we'll obviously put a pin in this. We'll see you guys next week. This is the Lockdown Podcast. Peace.